Hey everybody, so I wanted to give you a quick tour of the garden, the chicken coop, and the quail just to show you guys what I've been up to. So here we go. Okay, so the first stop is the old quail pen. We just moved the quail to their new pen yesterday and secured it. And we're going to be using this one for baby quail that aren't ready to integrate into the larger flock. So when I first built this, it was 6 feet by 4 feet wide. And then I added on another 4 feet to the end. And you can see the chickens are in there just kind of looking around for old quail food and eggs. They love quail eggs. But it's a great pen. You can see how fortified it is. We have chain link on there, plus chicken wire. And it's just kind of messy out here now because we've been moving a lot of stuff. So I'll get this cleaned up in probably the next week or so because I've got, I don't know, probably 12 to 14 baby quail on the way. And I'm excited to get them in there. So now on to the large quail pen where we've moved everybody. Okay, so here's the large pen. And you can see it still looks like a construction zone, but it's getting there. This is 10 by 10. So it's a really large area and it should fit a lot of quail. At the bottom here, we're securing this kind of awning material. And the reason for that is quail are not very bright and animals with small hands can reach through the chicken wire and the fencing and actually kill them and pull them out. And the quail cannot see at night, so they won't move. They'll just freeze. We also have bees in with the quail. So there's our beehive. The second beehive isn't going to be, we're not going to be ready to split that hive yet for probably, I don't know, another couple weeks, but then we'll add another one in here because I think they've gotten big enough where they'll separate. You can see some of the quail just walking along the fence line. So in here, which is still kind of messy, I've got to move this garbage, but they have a wonderful nesting box. They've got water everywhere, fresh grass, rocks, and lots of things to do. And of course, places to dust bathe. I am going to be adding, and this sounds a little crazy, but I'm going to add a little water feature over here with a solar pump. I found one online for 20 bucks. All I need to do is dig a small hole and add some plastic and it'll be wonderful. So now on to the garden. So I have the main portion of the garden, the back end, and then the corn patch. I expanded the corn patch this year. I wanted to double the amount of corn that I grew. And so now I have 4 rows of sweet corn with 35 plants in each one. Well, probably minus about 7 plants here. This one little section, even though I've added nitrogen to the soil, it just is not doing very well for corn. So I don't know what's going on, but the rest of it looks amazing. Inside here, I've also got, let's see, I've got a couple different squash plants and a lot of different pumpkins. So pumpkins are lining the side on each side. And then at the ends, I have a few winter squash plants. In the rows, which you can't really see, but there are beans below the corn plants. Now, I did not do a good job planting a lot of beans in here. I was running out of bean seeds and I didn't want to go get any more. So I think only half of this is going to have beans in it, which is fine. Over here used to be the onion patch. So last year it was all onions, and you can see some stragglers came up from last year. I just left them and they're going to be ready to be pulled soon. I think they're ready to go. But I decided to dedicate this entire section just to squash. And I have around 9 or 10 rows with 3 plants each of squash. So it's a lot, a lot of squash. I have kabocha, yellow squash, zucchini, patty pan, maybe spaghetti. I mean, I can't remember everything that I planted, which is fine. But we can see some of it is coming up and doing really well. So it's small, but we've got some squash there. We've got some, where's the zucchini plant? So one of the zucchini plants is coming up. You can see him doing well over there. And then I'm always so happy when I see my squash come out. And then some yellow squash. Now, again, I can't remember everything that I planted there, but it's going to be a nice variety. And whatever comes up, whatever I get, I'm going to be happy with. Over here, this was a bean overflow area. I threw some eggplant, some extra squash that I couldn't fit in other places. And this patch just never does very well, and I haven't really amended the soil over here very well either, and I'm not worried about it. It's a small patch. I'll fix it some other time. This is the potato garden, and I have a squash plant here. Part of the potato garden. So I had a bunch of potatoes from last year that I decided to put in here, and I didn't know if they would grow because they were kind of small, but they did really well, and I'm really happy. Actually, the potatoes from last year are doing better than the seed potatoes that I bought. On the other side of that, I've got onions, a small bit of onion. This section just didn't grow. You can see the tiny little onion plants here. Yeah, I don't know. Something's wrong with this little patch and just didn't do well. But the other onions are doing great. I just need to come in here and weed. And then the start of more potatoes are this way. So I have a lot of potatoes this year, a lot of corn, and a lot of squash. Into the main part of the garden. I have to keep this fenced in because of deer. And while I like the chickens to come in here and grab some strawberries and things, they will eventually start eating everything. So I've got beans as you walk in. Initially, this was not going to be a bean patch. It was just going to be empty. I was going to put a little bench here with a bird feeder, but decided on beans instead. And we got some good rows going. This empty section is actually where I run hose, so that's why I kept it empty. Behind that, I have a bunch, I'm trying to think, I don't even remember how many, maybe 30 or 40 tomato plants. So a lot of tomatoes. And it's a huge variety. I've got, let's see, beefsteak and Roma and paste tomatoes, Amish paste tomatoes, lots of different cherry tomatoes, some Cosmos, just a really good variety. I didn't plant any of the purple ones this year. I just didn't think they were that good last year. So I'm not gonna worry about them. I've got a bunch of carrot seeds that started to pop up inside the tomato garden because they blew over from the carrot patch. I didn't cover them well enough, so I'm just letting those grow. And I think within the next week and a half, I'll actually be able to pick all those carrots out, so it's not going to impede the tomatoes' journey at all. On the side, on the right side, I've got it set up so we have these little benches in here, but we also throw netting over that to keep birds away from the strawberries. And these are all strawberries in here, and some clover that you see growing, but we've got strawberries everywhere. I need to come in here and mulch and weed over the next 2 weeks. So we got, I think it might not be our last strawberry harvest, but I mean, I got a lot off the last pull. I can't imagine I'm going to get any more. I don't see any little flowers on the plants, so we might be done for the year, which is fine. That'll give me plenty of time to go in there and fix things up. Over here, I've got some dill plants. I just wanted a filler right there. These are all kale plants. I'm letting the kale back there go to seed so I can harvest that. I had a bunch of pea plants here, but I harvested and collected those two weeks ago. I left a few of the plants, which you can't really see them, but I left a few along the fence line to go ahead and collect the seeds from. And then along the walkway on the right side, these are all beans. I'm trying to remember what beans they are. Okay, so we've got Kentucky Wonder and then Blue Lake. And I've got a lot of bean plants. So I'm trying to remember, it must be 30 or so bean plants scattered about. And they're doing really good. I just need to come in here and get everything staked and just do a kind of cleanup. This is the dill patch. It's pretty long. And it doesn't look long in the camera, but it is long. They're about 4.5 feet tall now, so they're almost as tall as me. And I need to harvest. Some of them I'm going to leave because I want to collect the seeds from, but I don't want to let them all seed because the plants get a little chewy and they lose a little bit of flavor. So I'll freeze them and dry them and get them ready for the pickles later. In here, we've got our peppers, got jalapenos, bell peppers, some Santa Fe peppers, and something else that I can't remember. And let's see down here, I've got I only planted one tomatillo plant this year. And the reason for that is I had too many last year. I didn't really like them. It's not my thing. So I'll use them once in a while for salsa, and that's about it. This is just the most beautiful, huge sunflower, and I'm just leaving them there. I like them. This is the spinach patch. Now, the thing I need to do here is collect the seeds. I am tired of buying seeds. I realize I'm spending way too much money on buying seeds for myself when I can just grow them and harvest. So, and then I'll know which plants are really good and which plants didn't do well. So these should be ready to go in, I don't know, like a week or two. And then I'll actually plant some more spinach. I think we have the weather for it this year. Once we get behind the tomatoes, let's see. This is the cucumber patch. I have about 30 cucumbers in here. I'm super thrilled about that. I can't wait to start pickling. It's one of my favorite things to do. And we planted them at different times. And the reason for that is the first packet of seeds I got just didn't do well, and I had to replant. So we have a couple different sizes in here, but for the most part, they all look really good. Behind those, I have some more mint back there, some raspberry bushes, and then some volunteer garlic and onion plants, which are pretty much ready to go. I need to get back there and pick them soon so they don't completely fall over and hurt our cucumbers. More raspberries. They should be doing really good this year. We have a ton sitting on here just waiting to get ripe. See, they look great. I've got to cut back some of the mint and the catnip that I have there. It's overgrown. Here is my carrot garden. It looks great. But again, some of those carrots blew over into the tomatoes. I have to pull those up and thin out the newest rows. But they do look good. Everything's doing great. Along this path, aside from the water, I've got a bunch of herbs. So let's see, we've got cilantro, basil, parsley, flat leaf parsley, curly leaf parsley. The basil needs to be cut back. I might collect some basil seeds. I don't know. It looks good. I'm happy with it. This is the lettuce patch. I didn't grow as much lettuce this year as I did last year, just because I can't keep up with it. I don't eat it that much. I mean, I eat it once a day, but any more than that, it's just excess. So right now I'm giving all of the scraggly bits to the quail and the chickens, and they love it. But this is all going to be pulled out, and I might plant a little more lettuce. But I think I might go with some root crops because I can still do that this year. It's not too late. So maybe, I don't know, maybe some beets or something. I'm not really sure. This is bok choy, and I'm letting it go to seed, and I'm going to have a ton of bok choy seeds because this year I planted a lot of bok choy. I was eating it. The quail were eating it. Everybody was so happy. It was wonderful. But now it's time to harvest the seed and let it dry out, harvest it, and then save it for next year. Behind that, it doesn't look like anything. It just looks like a mess, but those are the rhubarb plants. They're pretty much done for the year. I might be able to get one more small harvest off them. I see some more leaves growing in there. But that'll be the 4th harvest I've gotten. And that's pretty much going to drain those plants. And I just need to cut them back and clean that area out, and they're done. And then the last bit of the garden is the pea area, which you can't really tell it's there, but these are all pea plants that have just wilted and they're on their way out. I'm letting them sit there with the peas. The seeds are going to dry. I'll collect them and then have them for next year. So the next part is on to the, we'll do the fruit trees. Okay, so one of the fruit trees in the yard is a peach tree. It looks great. It's doing really well. We have some tiny little peaches on here, but then we also have these bigger ones. And I'm super excited. They're going to be tasty. This tree is not producing a ton of fruit. So I have a friend in Boulder who has a peach tree, and they have tons. They have tons on their tree. This one only has maybe a basket full of fruit, but it's still wonderful. I'm happy. I'm grateful for it. Then the next one is the cherry trees. So there are 2. I got this one last year. So it's its first year fruiting. And I think you can see that it has like one little cherry on here. There were more on here earlier. I picked some of them. Some of them got icky. But these are small tart cherries, if you can see that. And they're really, really good. They have a strong cherry flavor, and they're fabulous in pies. And then this one is a choke cherry, and they need to be picked. I think that's a choke cherry. I can't remember, to be honest with you. I have not done anything with that because we didn't have any last year. So the next one is the apple tree. And there are 2 apple trees in the yard, and they are doing fabulous. I cannot wait to have apples. And we have got a ton. They're doing really good. Last year, we had a huge freeze. It was a terrible, really cold freeze, and then a super dry summer, so everything just died. I mean, we didn't have any blossoms. So no peaches, no apples. This year, we're gonna have a ton, and there are wild apple trees behind the house as well. So I'm gonna go pick those, and I have no idea. I have to look it up how many apples are in a bushel. I can do it by bucketful, so I know we're gonna have like 10 buckets of apples when all is said and done. So that'll be nice. Okay, last stop, the chicken coop. I've been working on this guy for a little while now. He has chain link and chicken wire around him to keep the chickens safe. Now, initially, this is not going to be an A-frame, but it turned into an A-frame. Anyways, the chickens are happy. They love their home. They've got roosting spots in here on the inside, which I need to shovel out today. I've got 4 nesting boxes on this side, a roosting bar that runs the length of the chicken coop, front to back, and then at the top, you can't see it, but there are roosting bars that are crisscrossing all on the inside, and that's where they actually roost at night. On the opposite side, I have the ability to add more nesting boxes. Right now, I've just got roosting bars in here, low roosting bars. But if we have some girls that need extra roosting space, I'll go ahead and add some more boxes in there. It'll be really easy. I actually made it so we can insert them. On the front, I've got this giant bar that's been added, and that's just to keep the bear out. Because on the back end, I think it was a couple weeks ago now, had a bear break in, ripped a hole right in the side there. So I boarded it up, but I'm going to add a window here that's going to be made of chain link and chicken wire, and hopefully it'll keep the bear out. But I want a little more air circulation in there for the chickens. We've had wonderfully cold and cool weather. It's been very rainy, so they've been okay. But now that we're getting into the latter half of July, we're going into August, it's going to start getting a lot hotter. And I want to make sure that we have a lot of airflow in there so these girls don't get too hot. But anyways, that was it. I hope everybody enjoyed it.